In this part of the shoulder series, we're going to talk about the scapular stabilizers. And in my opinion, this is the most important area to look at when rehabilitating, prehabilitating, or keeping the shoulder joint strong and healthy. The scapula is what is better known as the shoulder blade, and it's a triangular bone that lives on your back. The scapula is attached to your back body with 17 different muscles. So you can imagine how important it is to have this anchoring of the shoulder blade to the body if there's 17 muscles that are attaching it to your body. I won't expect anyone to know these 17 muscles. I have to really think through them in my head to remember what all of them are, especially the omohyoid, which connects right to your throat. So we're going to stick with about 4 or 5 today that are really important areas to look at when strengthening and stabilizing your shoulder. The scapular stability is the most important force in transducing the core energy of your legs towards your arm. So if you think about golf or hockey or tennis, anything where you're using your arm to hit something else or to put momentum into a ball, all of the power is derived from your legs and your core, which are the most powerful areas of your body. The shoulder blade is what translates that force or that power into your arm, where the end piece is your fingertips releasing the ball or racket. So it's really important that we maintain this connection of the scapula to the body so we can maximize our strength. I'm so excited to introduce the scapular stabilizers to you, the unsung heroes of our shoulder. What I'd like to first introduce you to is some movements of the scapula. So what I'm going to pretend is my hands are my shoulder blades, just as I'm sitting right now. So pretend that I'm here and these are my shoulder blades. So the first movement is elevation. Very easy because we use it in everyday language. It would be to elevate the scapula or the shoulder blades. This is accomplished mostly by the upper traps, which is a part of the trapezius muscle, which is a diamond shape. The next movement I want to talk about is depression. And I could talk about depression all day long, but I'm talking about scapular depression, which is a lowering of the scapula. So it'd be pulling the shoulder blades down. And this is accomplished via the lower trap and your lats mostly. Then we're going to talk about scapular protraction. Now this is the most confusing one, and I'm going to try and make it as easy as I can. The shoulder blades are on the back body, and then they squeeze and kind of wrap around more to the side body. That's protraction, not the calculus or math type of protraction, scapular protraction. And then the last one's pretty easy too. It's called retraction. So it's pulling the shoulder blades together, squeezing together. So protraction is accomplished by a muscle called the serratus anterior, which we're going to talk about in more depth as I show you the exercise. And retraction is accomplished mostly by the rhomboids and the middle traps. So you may ask, why do I need to know these movements? Let's just get on with the exercises. But I want you to know these movements because a lot of the time the shoulder blade is stuck on the body. As I said, there's 17 muscles that attach the shoulder blade to the body, and any one of these muscles can develop scar tissue and adheres that scapula so it's not in a good moving pattern and supporting your core musculature translating to your shoulder. So I want to give you some options of how to feel how mobile your scapula is by doing some exercises that are going to strengthen it. The first movement is scapular elevation. We're not going to focus that long on this because, to be honest, we're usually overly elevated in the scapula. If you think about the way that we hold tension in our body, it's usually that our shoulders are elevated. So there's generally in our population a shortening of the area between the ears and the shoulders. And so we're in elevation most of the time, and this is our default posture. So you could do shrugs at the gym with weights by lifting your shoulders, or even do a shrug like this. This is my favorite anatomy joke, by the way. What do the upper traps do? Okay, scapular depression, on the other hand, is a really important topic. So I'm gonna turn to the side actually, and we're gonna take our hands by the side of the body, and you might already notice that it's hard to bring the heel of your hand to the floor, and that is because you're probably tight and congested in the upper trap. So the first thing we're gonna do is simply try and press the heel of the hand to the floor while elevating the crown of the head up. So tuck your chin and press the heel of your hand to the floor while opening up the chest and lifting through the crown of the head. Now, just like some of our rotator cuff exercises, while we're doing some of these, some nerves are getting a stretch for sure. So if you do feel a little tightness in the fingers or any numbness or tingling that's tolerable, it's probably just fine. There's just muscles that are tightening and the nerves are trapped inside them. So we're just trying to open up those channels and get some space. And then relax. That is phase 1. Phase 2 is that we're gonna actually press our hands into the ground, keeping our feet on the floor, and maybe try and lift our hips up. So we're using our pressing into the ground, the scapular depression, to lift up the lower body. And then step 3 is that we're gonna press the heels of our hand into the floor and maybe tuck our legs up, lifting our whole body off, pressing into the floor, squeezing our shoulder blades down, and then releasing. So just working on using the downward pressure to lift up the pelvis and the core and starting to engage in those lower traps. Another great way to engage into the lower traps or the lats is upward dog. So if you're familiar with yoga, pressing your hands on the floor, lifting the crown of your head up and the chest through your arm bones is going to activate those same muscles that we just worked on right now. So I'm going to show you protraction and retraction in paired movements with the spine, which is going to feel very natural to you. And then we'll tease it out as a separate entity of movement, which is going to feel unnatural, which is great because we're training a new motor pattern. So let's start in the paired movements. You're going to take your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. We're going to start by rounding, and as soon as you start rounding the back, you'll feel that there's a natural separation of the shoulder blades, and the shoulder blade starts to wrap around the side body. This is the serratus anterior that really connects the shoulder blade to the back in protraction. And then we'll move through our cow position in yoga, where we come into spinal extension or a back bend, and it's very natural feeling that your shoulder blades will move together in retraction. Again, the rhomboids in the middle trap, drawing the shoulder blades closer together. Now we're going to do the same movement with the shoulder blades, but we're not going to move the spine, which is easier said than done. Let's give it a try. So let's try retraction first, which is drawing the shoulder blades together. So keeping the spine in its neutral position, draw the shoulder blades together. And then relax that action. And then we're gonna add in protraction. So starting to separate the shoulder blades, it'll feel like you're pushing the floor away from you and your arms will feel like they got a little longer. And then relax. Draw your shoulder blades together, squeezing them together and relax. And then pulling shoulder blades apart and wrapping the shoulder blade on the side body. And then relax. One more time, squeezing the shoulder blades together, arm length doesn't change, and relax. And then pressing the floor away, drawing the shoulder blades to the outer body, and relax. So this is a great way to start, is on your knees. And if you want to start adding a little bit more layer of difficulty, you would straighten your legs coming into a full high plank and doing the same movement. The loading will be greater because there's more weight going through your arms. So you'd find your retraction, neutral, and then what's called a push-up plus is actually this extra pressing, heart lifting to the sky, shoulder blades coming to the side body, and relax. This is an excellent way to start to increase your shoulder stability, is to engage that serratus anterior. So the wrapping of the shoulder blade around the side body really connects the scapula to your back body, especially if you're engaging things like inversions or push-ups. The activation of the serratus anterior is imperative to keep the safety of the shoulder. So this information about the scapular stabilizers is really the platform for you to understand what's going on in the body for the subsequent videos we're going to be doing on shoulder strengthening.